Does Aaron Rodgers really want out of Green Bay? Wait till you hear who is saying yes. And Scotty Miller thinks he can beat Tyreek Hill in a foot race. Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolf, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. A foot race. Scotty, what is it? Scotty Too Hottie versus the Cheetah. Who wins that one?
Scotty Too Hottie.
Oh, come on.
Scotty
Nobody, including Scotty Miller's friends and family, think he's winning that race. Nobody.
Not even his friends and family, Nick. Scotty Too Hottie.
All right, we'll get to foot racing and such, but we got to start with Tom Brady. You know, Wilds, you probably don't know this. Before he was Tampa Tam, he was Boston Brady. When it was always Super Bowl or bust, it's still pretty peachy for Brady, though not so much for his former head coach, at least according to Brady's dad, who said Belichick is, quote, on a little bit of a hot seat right now. Belichick, Brady. Brandon, does Belichick need to get to another Super Bowl now that Brady did it without him in Tampa?
Absolutely not. Come on, guys. Both of them reached the GOAT status because of each other. They needed each other. Come on, think about it. Bill Belichick, greatest coach of all time. Tom Brady, greatest quarterback, potentially greatest football player, greatest athlete, champion of all time. Now, if he goes and wins his 7th Super Bowl. But there's a few things that stands out because everyone right now probably is leaning more towards Tom Brady because he went into Tampa in his first year and he took the team to the Super Bowl. But let's not forget about Bill Belichick. Pure football. His special teams has been the best unit in all of football the last 20 years. They don't make mistakes. Defensively, sometimes, you know, they're okay. Sometimes they're exceptional. They're great. That's not Tom Brady. Leadership. Think about leadership. He's probably the most studied leader in all of business. Like, people fly in to sit down with him to pick his brain. It's easy to draw up X's and O's and draw up schemes and plays. But when you talk about getting guys on one accord and moving in one direction, that takes leadership. And he's one of the best that's ever done it. And then, Nick, putting the team together. He's the general manager. He makes all the decisions. He drafts the guys. He signs the guys. He cuts the guys. He trades for guys. Now, look. He gets a lot of stuff for being a cutthroat guy. A lot of people would say that's what actually makes him great. The one mistake he made with one player is being cutthroat with Tom Brady. So it's both of them. I love the conversation, but come on, man, let's not pick Tom or Bill.
Okay, so here's the thing. Prior to this year, I always would say superstar player at the quarterback position is going to, who is more valuable, Walsh or Montana? Who was more valuable, Noel or Bradshaw? It was Bradshaw. So who was more valuable, Belichick or Brady? It was Brady. But that's almost a different discussion. Who brings more value, the superstar quarterback or the coach that has his hand in everything else? This discussion is more, to me, Wilds, about can Tom Brady's success outside of New England retroactively ding Belichick's resume? And I'm here to tell you, fair or not, I think the answer is yes. Fair or not, you know the stories that would be written in 10 or 15 years if Bill Belichick never makes another Super Bowl, if he never makes another deep playoff run, and it's going to be, this was a 500-ish coach before Tom Brady took over. He had been to the playoffs once, and they went 1-1. Then he had a 20-year magical journey with if we're talking about this in 15 years, we'd be saying, with the second greatest quarterback of all time behind only Patrick Mahomes. In those 20 years, he won 6 Super Bowls, went to 9. And then in the 8 years after that guy left, they were just another team. If that is what happens, then absolutely history, they still might call him the GOAT, but it will be easier to catch him being Belichick, and the resume won't be as impenetrable because of what Brady has done outside of the cocoon of New England. I don't know if that's totally fair, Wilds, but I would bet any amount of money that narrative and that discussion will exist.
I think it's totally fair. You know, if Phil Jackson stayed with the Bulls and the Bulls didn't make the playoffs, you could say like, it's mostly Jordan. And if Jordan went to the Wizards and made the finals, be like, well, looks like it was mostly Jordan, not Phil Jackson. But I don't think we have to worry about it because I've never been more optimistic about the Patriots. Here's why. One, all of our opt-outs coming back. Patrick Chung's coming back. Hightower's coming back. Marcus Cannon's coming back. Number two, fourth most cap space. Oh, great. What are we going to spend the money on? We can go shopping. Number three.
Tom Brady.
Number 15 draft pick. We haven't had a draft pick that high since I was a little boy. I was this tall. Number 4. Oh, guess what our schedule has? A bunch of new coaches. Great article in SB Nation that I didn't even think of. Like, oh, all these new coaches hired. The Patriots get to play all of them. We get to play Urban Meyer. We played the Jets twice. We were going to play the Texans. We're going to play the Falcons. You're like, huh? Oh, we also play Chargers. Like, oh, the Falcons. That's right. Because we have to play the NFC South. So that means Tom Brady is coming to New England next year, Nick. So I don't even know if we need to get to the Super Bowl.
What?
But if Tom Brady goes into Gillette and Belichick puts the clamps on him, I think that we can start a brand new conversation like, yeah, Belichick would be nice to go to the Super Bowl, but if he goes into Gillette and lays an egg, and you know Belichick's got to be looking at that like an Ohio State, Michigan type game.
That I totally disagree with. I don't think one regular season game will have any legacy impact whatsoever. I think it's all about counting Super Bowl appearances, counting divisional titles, counting playoff wins. But I just want to ask Brandon a question. Brandon, when you think back on your career, okay, don't you think it is very important to your legacy and how you're remembered, the success you had once you and Jay Cutler split up? Don't you think I believe the year that really cemented your status in your era was the year with Fitzy in New York? Because no one could say it was the system. No one could say you were yelling at Jay at practice all week and he was scared of you, so he threw you the ball. It was a new situation. It was a new everything, and you thrived.
I was scared of Jay. Let's get the record straight.
Okay.
I was scared of Jay.
You were scared of Jay. My bad. I get it confused. But I do think that's important. And Wilds brought up Phil Jackson. I think the year they won 54 games when Jordan walked away the first time and made round 2 of the playoffs is important. So I do think, Brandon, that it is legitimate to say, what did they do once they split from each other?
Man, I truly believe this. It's all about situations. Like, you know, for me as a player, as an individual, a wide receiver, 6'5", 230 pounds, you know, just God-given ability, being able to do what I can do at this size, speed, and weight. It's like, you know, receivers at 6 feet tall. So like, I could have went in 20 different systems and been successful. But we're talking about championships. It takes everything. It takes the right quarterback. It takes the right offensive coordinator. It takes the right owner. It takes the right coach. So that's why I believe it was the perfect storm for them. It was the perfect setup. You got the greatest quarterback of all time, and you got the greatest coach. Bill Belichick is a genius. When we talk about preparation, he was the one that put this whole system around situational football. Guys wasn't talking about situational football before Bill Belichick. So I see what you're saying, but I just think when it comes to championships and sitting at the top of Mount Rushmore, it takes everybody.
All right, well, this isn't going to get solved today, but I want to quickly take a turn here and talk about the NBA. This game last night, Sixers beat the Lakers by 1 in a wild fourth quarter, but it didn't come without controversy. LeBron called for a flagrant here. Joel Embiid, not too happy about it. Take a listen.
Well, first of all, you look at it, that's a very dangerous play. And I guarantee you that if it was me, I would have probably been ejected from the game, which, you know, has happened in the past with me getting flagrant fouls really for nothing.
Yeah, a little LeBron favoritism. Nick, does Embiid have a point there?
No. There is not a player in the league that would have gotten ejected for this. Doc Rivers, Embiid's coach, said himself he didn't think this was even a flagrant 1, let alone a flagrant 2.
Right.
And if Embiid wants to talk about history, it does matter that LeBron's literally never committed a flagrant 2 in his career. So I don't think he's out there headhunting guys or trying to knock people out of the air. But that's not a flagrant 1, let alone a flagrant 2. That's ridiculous. Come on.
All right, we are heading back to the NFL, talking Buffalo Bills and their quarterback, Josh Allen. Will he be an MVP candidate for years to come? It's next. First things first.
That's funnier than the Scotty Miller thing. We are... I always would say superstar player at the quarterback position is going to, who is more valuable, Walsh or Montana? Who was more valuable, Noel or Bradshaw? It was Bradshaw. So who was more valuable, Belichick or Brady? It was Brady. But that's almost a different discussion. Who brings more value, the superstar quarterback or the coach that has his hand in everything else? This discussion is more, to me, Wild, about